it's unique that this group comes together on a pre-competitive basis to join forces, to collaborate.
But I'm also very glad to hand over to Mr. Rui Miguel Nabeiro.
It's really an honor to become the chairperson. ICP will be focusing mostly on youth and enable them to explore agriculture and coffee as a pillar for their livelihood.
Bom dia, and thank you very much for coming. I'd like to welcome you to this press conference of International Coffee Partners, which we organize at the moment of handing over the chairperson position inside the organization. My name is Michael Opitz. I'm Managing Director of International Coffee Partners and have the pleasure of being with you and guiding you through this event. Before we start with the press conference, I'd like to ask Senor Rui Nabeiro, Chairperson of Cafés, to open the event.
Estrangeiro não falam, a não ser o espanhol que é aí vizinho, mas de qualquer forma, o homem da ICP, a toda a sua direção, penso que é um momento para nós, portugueses, que requerem, de facto, uma leitura. E essa leitura é simples, é agradecer-vos a vós aquilo que realmente tem acontecido, porque são autores e são realmente responsáveis por aquilo que realmente é o pensar no futuro. O pensar no futuro que realmente é extraordinário, porque todos pensávamos que a vida é nossa e a vida é toda a gente. E é isso que esta casa, que hoje tem a simpatia de transportar até nós, e nós vamos agarrá-la, neste caso o meu neto, vamos agarrá-la com carinho, com força, com amor, porque realmente quem tem esses detalhes e esses pormenores da amizade, não há dúvida nenhuma que é sempre em frente. Comecei assim pequenino, fui crescendo e cresci até à altura de vós, com todo o devido respeito. Portanto, meus amigos, vejam o que é que nós, neste momento, estamos a praticar. Um ato de responsabilidade, um ato de proximidade e um ato de realmente não pensar em nós. Não desconhecemos, também queremos viver. Eu, pelo menos com 92 quase, não sei que tempo é que terei para viver, mas de qualquer forma, para os jovens, ficam aqui mais responsabilizados. Porque essa direção, esse senhor responsável, que realmente trouxe até nós essa dádiva, eu digo-vos que é uma dádiva, e digo-vos que é uma dádiva porque realmente a nossa responsabilidade é outra. E penso que a pessoa responsável tem sempre o mundo pela frente. Não queremos tudo, queremos o que nos faz falta. E é isso que realmente quero aqui deixar a todos que fizeram o favor de também estar aqui na presença, convidados nossos, para realmente nos acompanharem num momento de muita felicidade, um momento de muita atitude de responsabilidade. E, portanto, a estes dois senhores, ao senhor, que sejam realmente, não se esqueçam de nós também já não nos esquecemos de vós. Um grande abraço. Obrigado. Tudo bom. Felicidade.
Muito obrigado, senhor Rui. Muito obrigado pela profundidade realmente desse comprometimento que a companhia, o senhor tem pela humanidade e pelos povos que estamos juntos nesta planeta. Muito obrigado pela abertura desse evento importante para a gente. So thank you, Sr. Rui. And thank you all for coming. I was already mentioning that we have an important press conference today, and I should have mentioned before, actually, before we started, that we are going to record and we are going to take photos. So please, who don't want to appear on photos and on the filming needs to move to the back. All the rest should be fine. The program foresees that we will have 3 statements. One from my side. I will start with a short introduction into International Coffee Partners. Then I will hand over to Kathrine Löfberg from Löfbergs Coffee in Sweden, who will share some views on her experience as chairperson of ICP. Before we then will ask Rui Miguel to put the scene for his chairperson period, what the ambitions of ICP are for the years to come. We will have questions and answers in the end, so keep the best for the rest. As mentioned, my name is Michael Opitz. I'm Managing Director of ICP and have had the pleasure to work with this group of dedicated companies since its beginning. It started in 2001. And I should move the slides. Starts in 2001 with really an impressive group of companies that came together. It is Delta Cafés of Portugal. We have Frank from Croatia, Johansson from Norway, Lavazza from Italy, Löfbergs from Sweden, Neumann from Germany. Then there's Paulik from Finland and Chibo from Germany. And if you look into these companies, you are united by being all family-owned companies. So it's family's affairs, family values, very strong commitments, as also mentioned by Senor Rui Miguel, that unites this group of companies. And it's unique that this group comes together on a pre-competitive basis to join forces, to collaborate, to learn collectively from experiences with the aim of supporting the livelihood prospects of smallholder families in the areas, in the producing countries where coffee is being grown. It is very hands-on support that is being offered. It's being offered to smallholder farmers like Teddy. We are going to meet her in a second. But it's one example of so many small-scale farmers that are all facing quite difficult times. We still see, unfortunately, that poverty is widespread in the areas where coffee is being produced. We have a lot of situations where the farmers actually are working with small land sizes from 0.5 up to 3 hectares on average. And this needs to feed their family. It needs to support them in sustaining all the needs that they obviously have for evolving. But they are faced with a market that is volatile. They are faced with situation where costs are getting increased, where they are challenged basically due to the Ukraine war, now the pandemic as well, which adds basically to the production costs. As fertilizer prices rise. It also is a situation where obviously people need to be active to sustain themselves, to grow food as next to coffee in the times of the challenging environment due to climate change, which altogether doesn't make it more easy to feel the family needs. And ICP addresses these challenges in a very pragmatic and hands-on way, side by side with the producers. And again, I would like to introduce you to the world of Teddy. Teddy is a farmer, a female farmer from rural Uganda, where ICP is operating and having a project with them since 2006.
Before growing my coffee and the rest of the things, we could find it tough to get what to eat. Even the school fees could become a problem, but nowadays it's favorable. I'm my own boss. So the ICP project helped us, especially in coffee, to know more about the garden. It's a project which is going to help the young farmers to develop financially and making farming as a business. As a group, after drying the coffee, we always store it at the depot committee, then we sell it when the price is better. Yeah, that's where I got my money. Now I earn a living when I train my fellow farmers. I'm a good example in the village, and everything is moving on smoothly. For my future, I have a goal of harvesting 1,000 kilograms of milled coffee in a season.
So it's quite an impressive testimony of the work that ICP is doing. And believe me, it's not the only one that actually is taking advantage of the offerings that we collectively as the group can provide to the smallholder farmers. But there are so many more of smallholder farmers that require support. Just a few figures. We guesstimate in the coffee sector. It's very difficult to have statistics that are, well, strong enough, but the best figure we have currently is about 12.4 million family businesses operating in the coffee sector, similar basically to the person that we just saw. And as mentioned in the beginning, they have a lot of challenges that they are fighting with. It's difficult for them to access knowledge and to get support. It's difficult for them to also find good ways to connect with support systems around them, with the markets, with input providers. So no surprise that in many times productivity levels are quite low still. We also see that they are facing challenges as individuals and need to definitely find good ways of getting organized to become more visible and then better connected to the market, but then also to knowledge systems around them. Price volatility I was mentioning, and also the continuous degradation of natural resources that all too often, unfortunately, happens in the areas where coffee also is grown. I mean, everybody is aware that coffee is a crop that usually is grown in forest areas, forest landscapes. So we definitely have a challenge in the coffee sector to also counteract this degradation of natural resources. And with these challenges, it's no surprise that the young generation is not that much interested in continuing this hard life of their parents. So in the coffee sector, we see an over-aging growers population, and definitely a challenge to take into account in the work. The work, I think, if you recall a bit the video of Teddy, she explains this quite well through her arguing, but also through showing the way that she is programming today, what ICP is offering. It starts with the family business, and the family business is the farm. It's this little piece of land that the farmers can cultivate together with their relatives, with their families. And this piece of land grows coffee, but it also grows other products. And this is important. ICP, although we focus on coffee, our work goes beyond coffee. Our work goes into other cash crops. If there is a market, it goes into food production so that the people actually have a better, let's say, preparation to sustain them and their families. And it goes towards also the farm management. It just does not stop with good agricultural practices, it helps the producers to also make their economic evaluations of the farming business. It continues to farm organization, organizing the people, helping them to find structures, have structures that are professional, managing some of the processes after the harvest, helping them to bulk the coffee, to put it together, to form lots that are visible in the market. That helps them also to process the coffee and obviously then enter the market at a different level, which gives them other opportunities to earn a better price for the product that they have. Farm organizations, on the other hand, they also help the farmers to get better access to, I call them support services, but it's basically provision of knowledge, provision of inputs, provision of finance. So systems that every businessman requires to nourish its operation. We also work on climate change. There is one logo which will appear once again, I would think, in the presentation, Coffee and Climate. It is an initiative that was started by ICP and also offers knowledge to the farmers, obviously, first and foremost, but to many other stakeholders in the coffee sector. We also start working on youth, giving the younger generation opportunity to explore agriculture as a viable business by giving them access to land, helping them also to access services that they require to get this knowledge. Gender is the next, let's say, for us, cross-cutting element in what we are doing. This is, for us, a very, very important aspect of the work, contributing to the equality between men and women, supporting at the level of the farmer families to explore roles and responsibilities between the two men and women and really appreciate collaboration. Appreciate collaboration not only for doing the businesses but also for taking the decisions for the family. And this is a very, very powerful element of the work that we are doing, and it's cross-cutting in all the different aspects where we operate, be it at the family business, be it at the farm organizations, be it related to climate change. There is different exposure for women and men, but also be it for the operations of the organization. What does this work deliver? What does this work trigger? Well, it does trigger yield improvements. In many, many cases, farmers have been able to double, triple the productivity of coffee. It also supports farmers of getting a different product in their hand. I was mentioning processing, and this is what farmers nowadays can control. Instead of selling a raw product at the farm gate, they are able to process the coffee, turn it into green, a product that is storable and then can wait until the market perhaps is a bit better and more attractive. It also helps the producers to access the market at a different level. Instead of selling farm gate, they nowadays engage directly with an exporter. We even supported farm organizations to export coffees themselves. So turn their business environment and obviously by reaching a different market level also changing the price that their product can fetch. It also supports them in better controlling their cost of production. So the equation, the economic viability of the operation changes. And most important, it also supports them in getting more food secure. So having a higher resilience for their operations. And last not least, farm organizations are also instrumental to make the farmers better heard. We call this advocacy, so that the farmers can also, in front of support systems, commercial partners, politicians, better stand for their interests and make them better visible. This is the map of ICP. This is where ICP operates. It shows also the track record. Altogether, we have done 23 projects that are finalized. Currently, there are 6 more ongoing in the blue marked countries. ICP has spent about 20 million euros since 2001, and we can basically, I would think, double that amount that is available for the project work because of partnerships that ICP has always been looking for very proactively, in particular with development organizations. This is the partner with whom we work. It's an NGO, a foundation that has offices and teams on the ground in the different countries and is the organization that represents the values of ICP in practical work. A quick look at numbers. Altogether, we have reached already 150,000 households, and you see also the number of training contacts, and nicely that we are advancing in making them available also for women, or getting women attracted to these kind of trainings, and also having more and more youth to participate in the trainings that we offer. Farmers are definitely having a lot of takeaways, I would think, from the work that we are doing. Just some examples here. We have 100% of the producers in Tanzania in the project that adopt a great deal of the recommended practices that we are offering. And in Ethiopia, it was surprising after 1.5 years that we worked together with the producers that 32% already of them were above the poverty threshold in the places where we act. Governance, I think it's a very important aspect, and this also brings us to the topic of today. The ICP shareholders are very much involved. They are involved in steering the operations of the organizations, assessing the experiences that come from the field, assess the situation in the coffee sector, and provide guidance, orientation in which way to further develop. And the steering committee, it meets regularly. We come together 3 times a year. So quite an intensive follow-up and joint learning opportunity. And it's headed by a chairperson. And here I have the pleasure now to ask Kathrine Löfberg to join us in this conference and report about her challenges and experiences as chairperson for ICP. Unfortunately outgoing, but we have a very interesting and very dedicated new chairperson to take over. So please, Kathrine.
Thank you so much. It's great to be here in Lisbon again. Thank you. And as was said, my name is Kathrine Löfberg. I come from a Swedish coffee company founded in 1906. I belong to the 4th generation, and I'm the chair of this coffee part of our business. So, and I've been the chairperson of International Coffee Partners for 7 years. I'm also the chair of this special initiative, Coffee and Climate, focusing on the climate change and the challenges that the coffee farmers are experiencing today in the field. So there's a lot to speak about, of course. It would take a long time to talk about all the great examples, what we have done during these past more than 20 years together, but 7 years when I've been the chairperson. Great results, which I'm very proud of. But some examples here. We are focusing, as you saw on the previous map, we are focusing on a few areas, trying to work with countries in these regions in order to also transfer knowledge and experiences from one area to another. So the regions are Brazil, Central America, East Africa, and Indonesia. And in Africa, we extended in 2019 our work to Ethiopia. And we have great results there, as was mentioned also by Michael. So, and also one thing that was mentioned was that we always work with other partners in these projects. So here in Ethiopia, we work with the Austrian Development Agency, ADA. which is a very good cooperation, both that we can share knowledge, but also, of course, on the financial side and the resources that we get. But great results there. We also have started the third phase of this Coffee and Climate that was founded in 2010 by us in ICP, but we have also invited other coffee companies into this and other partners, both locally but also internationally. And the focus here is really to find solutions and tools for the coffee farmers to adapt to the climate changes, first of all. So this is a help with a very much focus then on the climate issues. Yes. We celebrated 20 years anniversary in 2021. And when thinking about all these years and what have really created these great results and what we have achieved, I think it comes back to what was mentioned earlier here, that we are all in this group, we are private-owned companies, we are family-owned still. In this world, it's starting to become unique, and we are a unique group of companies with similar values. We have a long-term perspective. We have also a personal commitment and engagement in these issues, and we have a long history also to working together with coffee farmers. So we are very close to them, and we are very concerned about the people, not only the coffee and the coffee beans. Of course, we are very interested in the coffee bean and the quality and the taste of that, but also very concerned about the people behind the great work that is done in the coffee origin countries. So, and I think this long-term commitment is one of the really one of the things that have created this positive effect. And as Michael was mentioning, we have a holistic view on things. We try to focus very much on the livelihood of the coffee farmers and the people. And also, it's very hands-on. It's very practical, the work. So, and we are very focused on results, very result-oriented. And this has also created a good result, and we follow up. And we are try to be also very transparent and share the experience, good and bad experience, to also be able to, in partnerships, then influence others to also learn from us, and we can also learn from them, of course. So a great work for many years. And I will also show a short video here from Tanzania. Emil, that is explaining a little bit about his work as a coffee farmer.
Kwa majina naitwa Emil Agustino Mzumbwe. Okay. Huu mradi wa ICP ulipokuja ulitunufaisha mambo mengi sana. Kwa hiyo walitoa elimu ya kwamba lazima kwenye shamba la kahawa kuwepo na miti ya vivuli. Hilo limetusaidia, lakini pia ile elimu ya kuweza kumudu mazingira ya uzalishaji wa kahawa pia tulinufaika, kwa sababu tulikuwa tunawatenga sana akina mama kwenye swala la kahawa. Kwa hiyo tumepata yale mafunzo ambayo yametujengea kuwa na umoja na nguvu ndani ya familia katika uzalishaji wa kahawa. Ili swala ni mnyororo. Sisi peke yetu hatuwezi kupata kitu, kwa sababu tunawategemea wale wanaokunywa kahawa na wenyewe wanatutegemea sisi. Kwa hiyo inatakiwa tushirikiane wote kupanda.
So, very great results, but also throughout these years, of course, some challenges. And some of these were, of course, the pandemic we all experienced throughout the world, and also some weather effects, some tropical storms in Central America at one point, or during some time. And I think when looking at the challenges here, since we are trying to focus on the farmer's perspective and to help them to become more resilient to challenges. We have seen, when it comes to the COVID, for example, we saw that the people in our projects came better out of these challenges, and they were more prepared, and they could work together in the cooperative, and we were there locally. We were actually in the area, so we could also. We are not an emergency relief organization, but we could be very quick to do actions to really create a difference there. And also when it comes to the tropical storms in Central America, we were already there, so we could help very quickly. And I think also one positive thing is that we are very, since we are very hands-on and we are very quick to take decisions, at our table in the steering committee, we can take decisions. We don't have to ask someone else in the office, go back and so on. We can take decisions there. So we could be very quick also to react on these challenges, which was very good. So I'm very proud of these years, 7 years that I've been the chair. But I'm also very glad to hand over to Mr. Rui Miguel Nabeiro. And I look forward to continuing our good cooperation, because I will still be in the steering committee and also as a chair for the Coffee and Climate. But I'm really looking forward to see also great results in the years to come. And I wish you all good luck. And I look forward to work together still. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Bom dia. Bom dia. Também vou falar em inglês, obviamente, mas não podia deixar de dizer bom dia em português. So, good morning to everyone. Let me just start by telling you what a pleasure it is for us to be part of such a group like ICP. We were challenged in 2018 to become part of this fantastic group of companies that want to change the coffee world, at least. And I think that I still remember when Kathrine came with Mr. Neumann to Campo Mayor, and I received a call from my grandfather and telling you have to come because Mr. Neumann and Kathrine are coming. We need to listen to them. So we listened and we said yes. We said yes because honestly, I think that being part of what a pre-competitive group means, it's a very interesting thing and a very challenging and important thing, because of course we are competitors in our own businesses, but before our business exists, there's a whole world where we can make together the difference, and I think that's what ICP stands for. You said that, Michael, and I think it's true. It's such an important thing that we all keep our housekeeping together and our coffee world together. Most of this, like also Kathrine said, I think that we all have an alignment on which the values of ICP stand for. So the values of our company, Delta, and that my grandfather founded, and we have the pleasure and honor to have him here today. It really makes the difference of being part of ICP or not, because the values are the same as us. They're all family-owned business that have a long-term perspective, and they all live and breathe coffee every day. So the fact that we together can work and keep the coffee world booming and moving forward, it made the difference to become part of this group. So we are just 5 years in more than 20 now years of ICP, and we were challenged to become the chairperson of ICP. So I think I've been 5 years learning, mostly with you both, what ICP means, and now I said yes to the responsibility of being the chairperson on behalf of Delta of ICP. So it's obviously an honor and a privilege to work together with you. It has been, and I'm sure it will be. I'm sure it won't be a big change, but follow up on the great job that you both have been doing in the last few years. So what mostly we want for ICP is leading worldwide sustainability projects. This is what a pre-competitive group means, is that we're looking into making every day more sustainable the life of a lot of people that depend on what we do. And this is so important, and this is what really ICP stands for. It's the relevance and impact that we think that ICP has to have. So looking forward, because we've learned a lot from what ICP means and what ICP has been doing. I skipped my presentation, but I mean, I'm the third generation of Delta. I'm today the CEO of Delta, and of course now I'm also the chairperson of ICP. So the big challenges that ICP will follow more than the others that we said before, because not going to be a big change, but mostly the focus on the next few years will be on youth. Of course, we all know that we have, not only in these countries, coffee-producing countries, but also in our countries, Portugal is the case for that, big migration of youth from the countryside into the big cities. So the focus on youth is highly important, because these migrations, and of course we speak also from migrations from Africa into Europe. So the fact that ICP will be focusing on creating a livelihood from agriculture, mostly from coffee, and creating the fact that these youth people will love being working in agriculture, will learn from agriculture, and then they think that they can have a prospect of a future living from coffee is really important. So ICP will be focusing mostly on youth and enable them to explore agriculture and coffee as a pillar for their livelihood. I think this is an important pillar, I should say not only for coffee, but coffee is where we are. So if we can change our world, I think it's a good step to change the world for everybody. The second topic that Kathrine actually will take over as chair for coffee and climate is that ICP will keep on being involved in the coffee and climate project. We'll continue integrating the coffee and climate toolbox in the ICP projects. The toolbox, it's a tool, as the name stands for, where the agriculture and everybody can check where the knowledge on coffee and climate is being kept. So it's a platform where you can check and learn what's the learnings, as Kathrine said, that we've been accumulating throughout the years. So sharing knowledge is really important, and the toolbox is going to be present in everything that the ICP will be doing. Of course, that the climate change is a problem. ICP, it's working with the Coffee and Climate Project to be addressing these facts, and will be continue doing this in the next few years. And of course, ICP will have to work together, not just together the companies that are part of ICP today, but of course we'll be looking at public and private actors to be together working on sustainability projects. So the goals are to increase the cooperation with the Austrian Development Agency, mostly in the Ethiopian project. Of course, that we'll continue. One of the strongest cooperators with us is SIDA, which is the Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency. We'll keep on working with them, and of course we want to engage some cooperation with European Union and other dedicated development organizations. This is an important role to develop more partnerships together so that we can do more projects than just us are doing in our days. So, having said and presenting this, I think, again, it's really an honor to become the chairperson. Thank you, Kathrine, for the confidence that the team is putting on me. I'm putting a lot on you too, Michael, because I also have Delta to manage. You know, sometimes I have to do that. But so it's really, again, a pleasure. And again, thank you for coming. It's really a pleasure to have you here in Portugal and hosting this event together. I think it's really of big importance. So again, thank you all for coming and trying to pass on the message that ICP is here to change a little bit the world, but we want to do that together. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Rui Miguel, for this really impressive, well, let's say head start for the chairperson. I'm definitely much interested in following track and following up with you. I know that you have other business to do, but rest assured, I'm there and would definitely like to continue this fantastic cooperation with your company now to give us more challenges in ICP, as we already experienced in the past with Kathrine and Löfberg actually supporting us. I think we still have some time for questions. Please feel free to throw them at us. There's one coming, amazing.
Hello, my name is Monica Högen. I'm a freelance journalist, mostly working for German media and focused on development projects. I have two questions. One of them is, I mean, it's very impressive what you're doing, but I think consumers might know a little bit more the fair trade movement. So I would like to know in which way you think you're competitors, or what is the difference between you and that movement. And the second question would be, a lot of experts are saying that as long as the coffee farmers rest at the very low end of the value chain, meaning delivering only raw material, and there's no processing facilities in those countries, their situation will never change. So do you have in mind also to do something about that?
Mm-hmm. You want to start? Or
Yeah, can you start?
Yes, I see all the certification organizations, the standard organizations, are sometimes partners to us, and since we are looking at from the farmer's perspective, we think that it's we want to empower them to take good decisions, what's best for them. If they see a possibility that it's very good for them to be certified with fair trade or Rainforest Alliance or become organic, I mean, the decision should be with them, and we will support it. So I would not see it as competition. But we also many times start very much before even thinking about going for a certification like fair trade, because we are focusing on areas that are having maybe the biggest challenges, people that are really having it very tough. So first, to start with, we maybe have to help them to organize themselves, as was explained, and also educate them and empower them and so on. And the question about certification comes many times a little bit at a later stage. But I think it's more, that's how we work with it.
And maybe a quick reaction to your second question from my side. Obviously, we are working in an environment where a number of aspects actually need to come into play. And aspects definitely are related to the way of farmers participating in the business. Sure. Roasting is added value to coffee, but it's also quite an important service that the companies actually are performing. All of these products that we are appreciating here, they do have a track record, they do have a lot of research and development that is taking place, they do have a lot of market analysis. What are the tastes in the different markets? Which kind of blends are required to really meet the consumer expectations? So it is, although it sounds quite straightforward as saying let's get roasting into the producing countries, it is something which is, I think, rather a limiting factor than an opportunity for many of the producers. And getting the producers actually to benefit from roasting in the producing countries is difficult as well, because all too often we will require one or two brave business people who will then run the show and not necessarily bring a better opportunity for the producers. We rather think that working inside the current system, definitely challenging the system by engaging, exchanging views and experiences with other actors will, I think, already be a strong contribution. And I've mentioned that we are able to support the farmers of changing many of the parameters which are decisive for them to earn a better living and to sustain their families in a better way. And this has to do, as mentioned, by changing the product already, bringing it to a coffee that can be directly sold and exported. So this changes quite a few of the parameters together with the cost of production, with productivity levels. And for us, an important benchmark is really the poverty levels in which the farmers operate. Obviously, we have some that strike out, others which will probably also be left behind. Not everybody can be serviced the same way. But this work really has a lot of potential for the producing communities to strengthen the resilience and help them to position them better to move out of poverty.
I have a question
Sure.
as well. First of all, I have to congratulate you about. I am been in the sector of recycling, packaging recycling.
Mm-hmm.
So, and this for me, I'm representing my CEO and Isabel Trigo Moraes. And I want to, because you have touched so many important points in like climate change and the footprint, the carbon footprint. So, but regarding specifically the packaging part of the coffee sector, how you are addressing in your association, or if it is.
Maybe I can take it up, because this unfortunately does not form part of ICP. ICP is really an organization that is working side by side with the producer, and the commercial aspects we leave to the companies. Yeah, it's sustainability, but this is basically definitely an issue that the companies themselves are challenged to comply with legislation and perhaps doing this extra thing to go beyond what is required by law. But unfortunately, ICP cannot discuss these things now.
Good morning, Vicente Nunes of Correio Brasiliense from Brazil. I would like to know how many projects ICP gives support in Brazil, and how many money the institution I spend there, please.
In Brazil particularly, wow, that's quite a good thing. I'm not prepared of telling you straight. I would need to bank a bit on time by talking to you to just make the calculations. No, but in essence, we started in Brazil 2009, 10? Okay, 2010. Thank you. So 2010, and then we would have, we are now 23, 4 projects in Brazil. 4 projects in Brazil, meaning with the dimension of 800,000 each, about 3 million, 3.2 million. that we already invested in Brazil, and in partnership, in particular, the Brazilian system is very responsive to work that we are doing. We have very close partnership with EPAMIC, with CENAR. This is really very profound, and we really cross-fertilize each other. Very enriching environment in working in your country.
And it's a bit more if you calculate also the coffee and climate
yes, oh sure,
part.
absolutely. Sure.
So where we also try to create this community of practice so that we spread really the learnings much more. And we have done that in a very good, positive way, in particular in Brazil.
I mean, Brazil is a country which is a bit different from the environment that we're showing here, but it's in the coffee sector the most important player. And this is, I think, Rui Miguel, also why you and your company are so strongly involved in Brazil, and we have all expectations of continuing this strong partnership.
Okay. So, no more questions. Thank you. We will be available for... Yep.
It's okay.
One more.
First of all, congratulations for the work that you all do, and congratulations to Rui to take over as chairperson. It's very important what you've been doing and what you keep doing. It's two questions, maybe they're quick answers, but you talked about a toolbox. My question was, how do you make sure that these contents reach out to these people? Because sometimes information is not easy to reach to these regions. And the other is, if you find maybe in the future, if you envision, how do you feel if this global or geopolitical situation is something that will become a challenge to the work that you do, or if it's not, maybe it's something that you'll go through it, because we know that there's a lot of separative, forces now currently, right? It's those two very different questions, but that I had. Thank you.
You want to answer about the toolbox?
The toolbox I can do, okay. Yeah, but no, that's a good one, because definitely, I mean, collecting experiences and knowledge, you always do it with a few. You always do it with a few, you dive deep, you really get a practical experience, and we describe it in the toolbox in a case study, give recommendation, profile it, in the way that others actually could work with it. But how do we reach them? One is that the entire initiative in the first years looked very much into these facilitators. Organizations like here, Hans-Neumann Stiftung in the field with staff on the ground that could work with the experiences and translate this into the environment where farmers actually can be trained in these kind of superior practices. So we were very much banking on the extension agents in the coffee world. Fortunately, there are quite a few. But nowadays, as technology is evolving, we already also detect, and I think this is part of the pandemic experience, where we could not program directly one-to-one with the producers, but rather we're looking into digital media to help us. We also found in all the places where we operate that many of the producers nowadays, in particular the young generation, they have smartphones. Or they have, let's say, the possibility of also accessing information through information technology. And this is a game changer, I would think, for the toolbox. And we have a process that is already in the making, where we would like to advance in the digitalization of the toolbox and basically now address it to the two profiles, to the trainers still, also with the training of trainer formats, but also with digital formats, and directly to the producers, which will require us two things. One is to bring the knowledge still in a format that is more easily for the producers to grasp. Probably working more with short videos to showcase a practice. And the other is that we also are challenged to translate it. Fortunately, the internet is magnificent today, already advanced into translation machines where you will not probably translate 100% of the content in an appropriate way, but also with 80% in combination with the video, I would think the producers will just get it. And Rui Miguel, maybe?
I'll answer the second
thanks.
one. Let me just say one thing. When we got inside the ICP, I had the pleasure to go into Brazil, in Minas Gerais, and watch some of the projects we've been developing, or you've been developing before. And I think that when you're on the ground, you quite understand the difference that ICP does to those people, because we have boots on the ground, as you said. Now we can use the word boots on the ground, teaching people a lot of things. Teaching not only to use the internet, but to use a spreadsheet, to do some math, to put women working because before they weren't, how to treat the plant, how to sell the coffee, because most of these people didn't know that the prices of coffee have a quotation. So I really felt on the proximity side the fact that ICP is changing really the lives of families and keeping the families together and with a prospect of a future for their families. And I think it was really important. And the fact that we have people there training and helping, it's making a difference. We're not just sending emails, how it's done. We have people teaching a lot of things. Going into the question about the future, of course, now we have a world that changed in the last year. We would never imagine that a geopolitical thing will move into a war, and that countries are spending amounts of money and loads of amounts of money into war. But we still feel confident that the project that we have can create an interesting future, and that all these corporations, the EU, CEDA, ADA, will still see in our projects an interesting subject to invest. And of course, our companies will keep on investing on this, because we really believe that we still have work to be done, a lot of work to be done. A lot of small hold families will need our help, and I think that the core is not going to change because the war is happening. I don't know if I answer your question, but I think that's it.
I think also I want to add that we have to remember that coffee is really a product that connects the world in a way. I think it's very unique there. So I think it's an opportunity for us to really work on it even better for the consumer in our markets, to get a better understanding also, and a respect for the coffee and the work that is done. So I think then people are willing to pay a bit more. They are more respectful when they consume the great product. So coffee itself, I think, has a unique role here to play.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming. It's a pleasure.
Thank you all.